Do not fall into the practice trap. Here's the thing. Every artist who dreams of making a project fall into what I call the practice trap. Or I'd like to call it the artist trap because it seems to happen to artists mostly in every field of art and to the mind of an artist in most cases. And here's what that trap is. An artist has a dream project that they want to make, like a comic book, a children's book, an illustration series, and they would look at their current set of skills and tell themselves, man, I'm simply not ready to do this thing, so therefore I'm gonna go ahead and practice. So they would go ahead and practice things like anatomy, character design, prop design, environment design, perspective, color theory, quantum mechanics, Muay Thai, cooking pasta late at night, and everything that is there under the sun. So the artist is basically thinking at that point, man, I have to learn everything to the nth degree, to the point of mastery, so that when I sit down to make my comic, I will be ready to make it. But here is the problem. You'll never be ready enough, and you'll be practicing forever, and you never make the project. And that is the practice trap. So here's one of the things that I've learned after having gotten out of the practice trap, which is you're not practicing, you're just procrastinating. We as artists, when we want to make our comic book and illustrations and children's books and whatnot, what we do is we just have this vague idea of the direction that we want to go in. Oh, I want to be a comic book artist and I want to make a comic book. So therefore, I need to learn character design, anatomy, environment. And we would go so deep into learning that thing to a point where most of what we learn is probably not necessary for the problems that we are trying to solve. Because every project that we make, like the comic book or whatever we make, comes with a specific set of problems. You make that thing and you look at that very specific pose or the panel or the page or the character that you're trying to draw and look at it and say, man, I'm not good at drawing, say, this particular character. So therefore, I'm just going to go and practice anatomy in general. That is not a good thing. It's like a weightlifter just saying, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and practice everything that is there under the sun in order to become a weightlifter. No, it's not necessary. You don't need to sprint or dunk a basketball, James, in order to become a weightlifter. I don't know who James is. I'm just calling James out. Sorry, James. I'm just saying. James, just lift some weight, James. Mastery is a road that never ends. You can always master more. You will never be satisfied. So what do you do to get out of this practice trap? The solution is you need a project. Just like how every athlete has a game that they work towards, an artist needs a game that they are going to play, and that game is the project that they are going to execute. Project is a thing that is very specific, that has a start and an end to it, and its end is there when the project is actually finished, so it's very clear for you. Now, why a project, you might ask? Why not other things? Like I told you, how purposeless practice is actually pointless. Projects give you a purpose. It orients all your practice towards developing the very specific skill set that is necessary in order to execute that thing at the highest level. It clearly tells you what to do and what not to do. And when you're wasting your time, because you'll be wasting your time a lot. If you have a dream project, like a fantasy comic or a sci-fi children's book, you might want to just actually go ahead and make a very crappy version of that first, instead of starting your practice journey, and then look at your piece that you made and ask yourself, what are all the skills that I need in order to execute this specific page or panel or series of illustrations well, and go ahead and solve that very specific problem. Example, let's say you have a character in a very super dynamic pose and you draw it like a cat who just ate a sandwich one afternoon and drew it while it's drunk, and you're not happy about that particular pose. So what you then do is, instead of practicing dynamic poses in general, which is what everybody does, you go ahead and research how that particular pose looks on your character and practice that particular necessary skill in order to execute that pose. Because here is the thing, practice cannot exist without a purpose, meaning even if it's for the sake of fun, that is a purpose, but a better purpose would be it exists so that you can execute your dream projects. You're not limited by your tools, your skill set while you're making that thing. So that is the whole point of practice. But what artists actually do is they just practice in general, in perpetuity, and they are never satisfied. But when you're actually doing a project, what you need is focus. And focus is not about saying yes to things. It's about concentrating on something that is very singular. And the way you actually create focus is not by trying hard to focus. It's like trying to force yourself to sleep at night. Good luck with that. But rather removing everything so that focus becomes a byproduct. It's a symptom of actually eliminating distractions, not by forcing yourself to concentrate on things. And that is what a project does to you. You need a project. Alright, Kesh Broski, I've got the project. Let me go ahead and pick the biggest, baddest, the most coolest project ever. My 375-page comic book, which will take me 5 years to make. Please don't do that. Why? Stop it. Why would you do that? Don't do that. Here's how you actually pick a project. There are plenty of ways to skin the cactus here. I don't know why you want to skin the cactus, but let's just keep going. So here's a list of my general guidelines on picking projects after years of failing and succeeding at projects. Number one is to pick one thing that has a clear end to it, like a 30-page comic or a 10-part illustration series, and make sure that particular project takes no more than, say, 30 days to 100 days to complete. It takes a different level of patience to execute something that is beyond 100 days, and most people who haven't even completed a week-long project should not be taking, in my humble opinion, a 100-day or a year-long project. The next one is to pick something that you're actually curious about, something that makes you want to explore that particular thing. Curiosity did not kill the cat. I don't know what killed the cat, but I'm sure curiosity did not kill the cat. You want to pick projects that makes you curious about certain topics. And then never commit to a long-term project without a 2-week experiment first. Try first and then commit. Why? Because initial starts are always fun. You're in the honeymoon phase. When day 47 comes, when you're in the middle of the project, and that's when the actual skibbity-doobity doodles will show up that you did not expect. Next one is to make sure you create a product-based project, something that you can hold at the end of it, like a children's book, a card deck, a board game, something you can actually give to someone else. That makes it a product-based project because it just incorporates the element of sharing into your art, which is actually very fun. And finally, always make an MVP of your project first, which is a minimum viable crappy version of your project, and then start your practicing journey to solve problems. Make sure you make first and then practice, and don't do it the other way around, man. It never works out. And that's it. Stop practicing and you, my friend, will feel less lost about your life and other things. You know, the things that you wonder late at night, the meaning of life and whatnot. You know what the meaning of life is? It's 27. That's what the meaning is. It's 27. I'll see you in the next one.